Today's episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Dork Publishing, expanding minds through fantasy since 2018. Learn more at the Dork Publishing website, www.dorcpublishing.com.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am your host, Kathy Blaze. I'd like to welcome one of Arizona's talented actors, Mr. Adam Berardi. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Nice to finally meet you in person.
I am flattered and happy to be here. Thank you so much.
And you know, you look exactly like you do all over social media and everywhere that I see you.
Thank you. I don't know how that's possible. But,
You know, sometimes you get these times where you meet someone and you're like, are you really Adam? No.
I'm always like to the photographers, do it up here. Take a picture of my.
Well, you know what? We got to put our best faces out there. So
That's right. I don't know how.
well, welcome. Such a pleasure.
Thank you.
I've been watching you, and I see you've been pretty. Don't make that face. You've been pretty busy out there.
I've tried. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good thing. And, you know, that's a good thing because, you know, we have went through this time where with COVID and things were slowing down and, you know, we're just wanting to work. So it's good to see that our talent out here is really moving out there and working in other states and just doing it.
It was terrifying, right?
Yes.
It was scary. I can attest. There was a good 2.5 years where the wife was looking at me like, are you going to get a job? Or are you just going to sit around the house? And well, essentially, I sat around the house, played video games most of the time. But after, you know, thanks to my manager at Volition, you know, I've gotten a lot of work right after things started opening up.
Yes.
We have the new film incentives coming here. So hopefully that happens for everybody in the industry here.
Yes. We pray that happens to everyone.
Please.
Yes. So, Adam, I don't know a lot about you, so that's why we have you here. And so our audience can learn about Mr. Adam Berardi. So how did you get into this fabulous industry?
Gosh, I don't know a time in my life when I wasn't. I always was. I started when I was really young. I grew up in Orlando, and we didn't have a lot of money. And there was a really nice guy named Jeffrey Watkins, and he is the father of T-Boz from TLC. And I worked at I was working at a dog track and doing my thing, and I was singing, and he was there, and he said, "Hey, you got a nice voice," and I was like, "Thanks," and he goes, "You sing professionally?" And I was like, "No, I'm working. I was picking up dog poo at a dog track. I was a very young boy. I think I was 14." And he was like, oh, "Okay," he says, "Where do you go to school?" And I told him where I went to school, which was Edgewater High School in Orlando, and
He said, "Woo, woo."
go Eagles, and that was the end of it, you know, and so. I started doing drama at Edgewater, and I started doing chorus. And my chorus teacher got me into doing shows at Disney and doing professional plays. My drama teacher did. And then Jeffrey Watkins just showed up one day at my school, and I had a little quartet we were practicing with, and he's like, "We're taking you to Cablevision in Florida. We're gonna set you up." Nothing happened, but he got me involved with a guy named Jeffrey Callender.
So did he remember you from the dog track? Okay.
He did. He showed up at my high school.
Okay.
You know, so and so he got us started with all that stuff, and then he kind of just dropped off the face of the earth. He just got us started, didn't ask for anything in return, and I've been doing it ever since. We did a television show when I was 15, 16 years old, and ever since, you know, we're just plugging away.
Do you mind telling what that television show was?
It was Superboy.
Superboy.
Yeah. I didn't test well as Superboy because they were looking for somebody a little different looking than me. But I did get to play one of his Hispanic friends, which was fantastic. So I got to get that, and that was my first experience on film, because we used film back then. Right?
Wonderful.
Wait, it was a long time ago now. Gosh.
That is exciting.
I'm an old man.
Isn't that how things happen? That is just, it's just like it is happens. You're somewhere, not even thinking about it, and you meet someone. That's why you should always be prepared. I mean, be on your best feet. best personality, best attitude, and all that stuff, because you never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say anybody starting off in this business, I would say the first thing you do is always put your best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
I helped run a production company called Overnight Pictures with a dear friend of mine. His name's Clay Moffitt. And he was doing, when I first met him, he was just doing this little independent movie that he didn't have any money for. And I'm like, I'm going to go audition because, as a lot of actors do, when my son was young, I took some time off until he was about 14 years old. And I said, I'm going to go do this little thing. And my wife's like, go ahead, do it. Have fun. And he's like, I don't have any money to give you. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to him. And he's like, really sure of himself, though, and what he wants to do. And I'm like, I'm going to do this play. My wife's like, you can do it for free? We're not playing the movie. I said, yeah, I'm going to do it for free. I'm going to do it for free. And we did it. And I fell in love with the guy. I fell in love with the entire cast. And we forged a relationship. But if you don't put that foot forward and at least try to be creative, you're pretty much going to be stagnant. If you're just looking for that money, if you're looking for that avenue, I don't think you're going to get very far.
And sometimes that's how you develop those best working relationships. And usually sometimes it's not about the money, it's about that person.
Absolutely.
I mean, you just develop this bond with that person and just liked what you saw. So
you just never know.
Because if you go in there immediately, it's just money, you're going to miss a lot of good stuff.
And I see it every day.
Yeah.
We have actors, we do non-union, mostly non-union movies and programs. And we'll see a lot of actors come in because they're brand new. We want to give them a shot. And they're like, where's that paycheck? We need that paycheck right now. What are my residuals? What am I getting paid? And I'm like, that's important. Yes. That's an important part of your job. Of
course.
But you'll see it. You'll see in their performance. You'll see it when it's time to go. They want to just go. Right. They don't learn people's names on set. You know, I mean, when I know people who are very successful, know everybody's name on set. Best boy, all the way down to the last grip you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
And everybody in between.
Right. And that's what we talk about a lot. Is that a lot of times, sometimes the best actors, or not even the actors, of people on set, are those people that are sitting there. They're very observant. They know people. They know what's going on set, and they're liked. They're very well liked, and those are the people you hear about.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you think about it, if you're going to apply for a job, you don't, first thing you sit there at the interview, how much am I getting paid? That's not the first question that comes out of your mouth.
Well, if you're going to a job and the first thing you want to do is wonder how much you're getting paid anyway, then it's not the right job for you, right?
Right.
So, absolutely.
So, what advice would you give to this aspiring person that's sitting out there watching you right now that wants to get into the film industry?
Well, first of all, don't aspire to be me. For goodness sake, it's not the echelon, the upper echelon you want to be. Aspire to be higher, but in all seriousness, but I would say if you have a passion for something, no matter what it is, but if it's acting or if it's filmmaking or whatever it is, the first step is to go out and to meet people. There's a lot of great resources. No one likes using social media anymore. There's some great resources on social media. Just meet some folks. Go out, have some fun. See what works for you in this arena, because maybe acting winds up not being your thing.
Right.
I mean, okay, for instance, when I was starting out, they told us as a young actor, you had to be an actor, you had to learn how to dance, you had to learn how to play an instrument, and you had to learn how to sing. Right. Well, I can't play an instrument to save my life. I took keyboard for a number of years. I still stink at it. I can't do it. And that was one aspect I couldn't do. I nailed the other ones. And I loved acting. I didn't even know how much I would love filmmaking and being behind the camera until later on in life. Right. But some people get into acting, they're like, boy, I hate this. This is horrible. I feel so nervous on camera. I don't like doing this. Not everybody can be a psychopath like me and just get on a camera and be just myself. So, and it takes a special kind of person, I think, to be just not nervous. But a lot of people, they find that they love something else. They love sound mixing. They love, there's something they love.
There's something else that they love. And a lot of times it's because someone has said, you should do that.
Yeah.
Or their parents have mold them for that role.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah, a lot of times. Or they didn't realize how much work it was going to be.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. Isn't it?
It's a lot of work.
And
sometimes, like you said, no pay.
Yeah, no pay, yeah, sometimes. Right. I was sent to do a national commercial about 2 weeks ago. And for most people, they don't realize, but commercials for a guy like me is our bread and butter. That keeps us going all year round. And, there was an audition, then there was a callback, and there was all these things. And then I had to be especially in LA, there's COVID testing like every couple days.
Right.
So there's COVID test after COVID test. There's wardrobe fittings. There's rehearsals. There's ADR, which is for people who don't know, that's when you actually get on a mic and you have to say everything you're gonna say or you've said, so they can match it when you're speaking. I'm trying not to get technical.
Right.
And then there's the actual work, which can take 2 or 3 days in the heat. You could be walking upstairs carrying somebody. For in my case, singing and moving around. And at the end of a 7-day period, you're wiped out.
Right.
You're exhausted. It's not like you just walk on set for an hour, And for a lot of people, that's not what they want in life.
Right.
And I've met so many people.
That's not the fun stuff.
That's not the fun stuff for them. And for so many people, they tell me, I'll see people on set and it's like, I did that once, but you know what? I like doing this. And if you want to be creative, just be creative. If something doesn't work for you, move on to something else.
That's true.
And if you love
true.
acting, take classes, meet people, and start doing it.
That's true. And you know what? A lot of times, 90% of the time is preparation. 10% is getting in front of that camera, do it, and done. Because you done prepared for all that you're going to do in front of that camera.
And it's a lifetime of preparation. Just do it. To start.
Yes. So, Adam, we were speaking about you going to California and working on your commercial. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of that? I mean, how all that actually happened for you?
I don't know how actually anything happens for me. I got a call from my manager, Luna, and she was like, hey, you got a direct call back. And I'm like, for what? And she said, oh, it's for this pharmaceutical, commercial. And she didn't know what it was. And we kind of laughed when I explained what it was. And I can't explain too much of it now. And she's like, so what do I do? She's like, I don't know. I'll tell you in a little while. So she calls me up. She says, oh, tomorrow morning, which was like 5 hours, I guess, from the time I had to be there. She said, you have an audition. It's a callback audition. And here's a song. Just learn it. And I'm like, okay. So I sang it about 500 times. And it was a Zoom audition. A lot of the ones in LA are Zoom now. They're very concerned about COVID, which we all should be.
Yes.
So I got on camera. I'm looking at the camera, and I started singing. For the lady who asked me to start singing. She said, you did a great job. Now we're going to send you to the casting director, and you just do the same thing. I said, great. And he gives me a bunch of different directions. And about the second time through, my throat just closes up because I sang the song 500 times the night before, 600 times, and I laugh. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I go, "This never happened before. This is what I've trained for my whole life. I started at Disney. I would walk around and I would sing. I played Aladdin. And he was like, yeah, do it again." He said, "Just do it like you were doing it for Disney." And I go, "Okay." It was full blown
your voice
on stage,
closed off.
And I said, "Okay," and I did it. And he was like laughing, and he said, "Great, thanks." I'm like, "Well, I bombed that. I'm just gonna go back to bed, And so I went back to bed, and I got a call that night. He's like, "You got it." And I'm like, "That's crazy." So that's the extent of getting the job.
Okay.
All the other stuff that goes in between is like 100 different moving pieces.
Right,
it's terrifying, but there's people calling you from all directions, asking where you can be in this day, where you can be on that day. It goes from wardrobe to rehearsal to everything. So it was a lot.
Right.
But
are you able to tell what song you were singing?
No. I can't. It should be out in about 2 weeks. I can't say it.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone will be tired of seeing my face again very shortly. But
we're gonna see Adam around.
I'm gonna do a little dance and singing for everybody. So it'll be a good time. But it was a lot. A lot of direction, voice coaches, because no matter if you can sing or not, got to have a voice coach because they want you to sing a very specific way. Wow. So it was a lot of work, and if you can hear my voice too.
And that's the thing about being an actor and being a serious professional actor. You had to jump on that right away. You have to get ready to sing this song in front of more than one person. Yeah. Then you have to be in California to prepare for set, wardrobe, and all. That's a big investment. And a lot of people don't take that. They don't know that. They're going to have to do all that.
It's a huge investment. It's a huge cost.
Yes.
And that's not including headshots and acting lessons and union dues. Union dues are expensive, and the more you make, the more you pay. That's all there is to it. Having a manager, having an agent, having them both at the same time is even more expensive. But I would say that it's all worth it. I don't know how to do anything else. Right. I've tried to have a real job, but I've been fired weeks after.
This is your real job.
Well, real job, Real job. I realized in life there was no half measures. Right? So I did have a job as a bartender a few times, but I've been fired every single time. You get a call, it's like, "Hey, Discovery Channel wants you today." And I'm like, "Okay." And in the middle of Friday night, like, Gotta go, guys.
I gotta go.
Like, you're fired. I'm like, okay, see you later. See you later. I'm out of here. So you have to be prepared to roll with the punches, and if you can't, then better luck next time.
Tell us one of your most memorable roles.
Oh boy, you know, there's been so many great ones, and people have been so kind to me as far as letting me just experiment and do whatever I want to do. So I had this. I don't think it's ever shown on television, but I did this one thing that went to Discovery Channel, and it was supposed to go to Discovery Channel. It was for the Confessions of Christopher Columbus, and I had to play Columbus's confessor. And they hired me based on the fact of my last name being Berardi. Okay. And they're like, "Oh, okay, so you're going to be his confessor, his priest that tortured him at the end, and then you'll be laying next to his bed, and we want you just to go ahead and recite the Bible, but do it in Italian or Latin." And I'm like, "Well, what?" Like, Italian or Latin, just speak Italian or Latin. I go, what makes you think I can speak Italian or Latin, or if I know any verses of the Bible? I don't know any of these things. And he's like, just say a prayer. I'm like, what prayer? I don't know what to say. I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, well, don't you know? I mean, you're Italian, you must be Catholic. I'm like, no, I'm not Italian.
Look, you didn't read my resume. Did you see that in my skill set?
I didn't see any of that. So it was really funny. So I seriously, everything you would see would just be gobbledygook. I just made it up as I went along. I was like speaking half Portuguese, half Spanish. I'm like, I hope this all works out for me. I don't know what's going on. And they were all laughing the whole time. Even the guy playing Christopher Columbus could not stop laughing. And there's like billowing smoke around me. We're in like a dungeon, and I'm like,
it's like, what the hell, Christopher?
I hope. I hope this never makes it to air.
Oh my goodness.
I think it actually did, but I didn't see it.
Didn't want to go and find it, huh?
Thank God. The only time you've heard me pray is right then. That's it.
Well, I know that you you were part of a documentary.
Yes, absolutely.
And can you tell us a little bit about this? I know you brought us some media, but I'd like to get a little bio on it.
I'm super proud of this. So I've suffered from something called sleep paralysis my entire life. Most people who suffer from it suffer from an early age. And it has something to do with our REM cycle sleep and how we can fall into it very quickly. No one really knows. And doctors, all the ones I've spoken to, they don't know really how to diagnose it. So what happens is right when you right when you begin to fall asleep, what's going on in my mouth, or right when you start to wake up.
Sleep paralysis.
It is. I'm gonna, right before you're about to fall asleep or you're about to wake, the chemicals in your mind that actually paralyze you keep you paralyzed. So your eyes can open and you can look around, but you can't move your head. And a lot of people explain seeing these entities when they awake and they can't move and they can hear them. Some people get touched by them. And the first doctor diagnosed this in like the 1600s. It was 1642. And the idea of the nightmare and the hag, that all came from the same idea. Here's an interesting fact. It's not in the documentary, but so back in 1981, there was a young man who was Laotian. A lot of Laotians came over in the 70s as refugees. And he was telling his parents that he couldn't sleep. There was a man in his dreams that was trying to kill him. His parents didn't want to hear it. They took him to a doctor, gave him sleeping pills. About a week later, the kid was deceased. Wow. They found a coffee maker in his room. They found the sleeping pills that he never took in his dresser. And between that time and about 3 more years, 101 people died from the same affliction, all Laotian. 1 woman, 100 men. Wes Craven read this in the LA Times, made the Freddy Krueger movies. And it's something that's plagued people for a long time. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. No one ever wants to talk about it with me. Right. I was sleeping next to my wife in bed one night, and it happened just recently, within the last year. And she was watching this happen to me. It was terrifying for her and terrifying for me. And she says, you need to do something with this and tell people about what has happened. So I put out my feelers and I on social media and everywhere, and I said, who's experienced this? And so many people came forward. I'm like, we're doing a documentary about this. And that's exactly what it's about. So it's real stories from real people. And with dramatic reenactments. Right. And we use some of the people that told stories if they felt comfortable on camera. And it's simply just that. It's a recollection of what happened to them with some experts speaking about it as well. And as far as that goes, that's it. I had to run camera sometimes. I had to do some narration because it was a labor of love. Right. But we're super proud of it now.
Awesome. Well, why don't we take a look at this? I'm really interested in this.
What is sleep paralysis? The Mayo Clinic defines sleep paralysis as a temporary inability to move or speak before falling asleep or upon waking. People who suffer from this condition are able to open their eyes, see, sense, touch, and hear with total cognition, but yet are completely immobile. It may seem like a rare condition, but in fact, over 3 million Americans report suffering from sleep paralysis every year, and over 7% of people worldwide. Out of the countless numbers of people who have been interviewed on the subject, they all have very similar stories of sleep paralysis and the phenomenon of the shadow people.
Wow. You know what, and there's probably a lot of people that go through that and don't even know about it or never been diagnosed.
A lot of people haven't been diagnosed. It's hard to diagnose. So I thought it would be something that would be helpful for people. They could watch it, feel like they're not so alone,
Right.
that it is a common thing. And it's the first documentary that I and Clay have ever actually done. We mostly just do fiction and
Right.
a lot of horror. You know, we want to do something a little bit more meaningful in a way.
Right, right.
And it worked out well. It's a beautiful documentary. We're super proud of it. And we can't wait to do more now.
Right. And speaking of Clay and speaking of being an actor, you have your own production company, right?
That's right. Well, Clay has his own production company. It's Overnight Pictures. I work with Clay a lot.
Oh, okay.
You know, we've been working hand in hand for about 7 years now, I think.
Okay.
It's been 7 years? Gosh.
Wow.
Yeah,
Time
so.
flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had 11 features that we've completed together.
You guys have been busy.
Yeah. We try to do about 2 a year.
Okay.
And on top of that, we have a nice podcast called Talk About Scary, where we make fun of haunted houses and mansions and hotels and whatever else, and alien sightings. And it's a good time.
Yes,
And,
it is. Perfect time.
It is a perfect time right now, especially for spooky season coming up.
Yes. So do you have any new projects coming up?
Oh boy, we've had one in the making for over a year now. We finished principal photography on Pocket Man and Cargo Boy 3, The Wrath of the Viper Sniper, last year, and that's more of like a kid's tween action movie. It's a kung fu type of movie with lots of fighting and special effects, and it's a fantastic narrative Clay wrote when he was in high school.
Okay.
And that was a long time ago, and he's tweaked it since then, obviously. And every actor that we've had in has been great and have come back for each sequel. This last one was the greatest undertaking. I think we had, I think it was like 20 actors, a huge set.
Was this all filmed too in Arizona?
Everything we do is here. For our production company, we film in Arizona.
Okay.
Arizona actors, Arizona crew, Arizona set design. So, yeah, we're tremendously proud of it. And, we've had some great local actors that have moved on, like Ben Vasquez, and there's so many people. Jeremy Behe, Daniel Main.
Was that Titus Covington in the doc? I thought that was him.
That is he actually suffered from sleep paralysis from about the time he was 6 as well, just like me. And he was the first one to come out and say, "Hey, Adam, can I be a part of your documentary?" And I was reluctant. I'm like, I don't know. I know, I want this to be impartial. He's like, "Please let me do this." And so, he actually helped on Pocket Man and Cargo Boy 3 as well. He was there.
Yes, he's a great guy. Where can our audience find you?
You can find me on Instagram if you'd like to. That's at the Adam Berardi. I think that's the only real social media I control anymore. And then on Facebook, if you look me up, I'm sure you'll find me. I might not get to you on Facebook if you try to check me out. It takes a long time. Okay. And then if you want to watch the sleep paralysis documentary, that's on Tubi. You can watch that anytime you want. It's free. Amazon as well if you have a subscription. Okay. And we know Pocket Man and Cargo Boy will be in theaters, and then starting sometime in late fall, and then all over.
Looking forward to seeing it. It was such a pleasure to have you here today. And thank you for joining us here today at Desertwood Days, and we'll catch you next time.